What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check updates, the two new upcoming packages, the physical infrastructure package, as well as the next stimulus package, which the Democrats may or may not pass together as one bill or separately with a bipartisan bill and a reconciliation process, as well as major news going on with our country right now. President Biden just met with Russian President Putin about a multitude of things, including the Russian hacks on the United States. Russia has been said to be responsible, or at least groups out of Russia, for both attacks on government websites and government security systems, as well as these private companies like the JBS meat production, the gas pipelines, which shut down the United States, the southeast corner, literally ran out of gas, and those are said to come from Russia. President Biden and Putin talked about this, and President Biden asked him directly. Here is a couple excerpts of what President Biden said happened in that meeting. Also, I got some really good news about the next stimulus package and infrastructure package coming after this.
And I know there were a lot of hype around this meeting, but it's pretty straightforward to me, the meeting. One, there's no substitute, as those of you who've covered me for a while know, for face-to-face dialogue between leaders. None. And President Putin and I had share a unique responsibility to manage the relationship between two powerful and proud countries. A relationship that has to be stable and predictable. And we should be able to cooperate where it's in our mutual interest. And where we have differences, I want President Putin to understand why I say what I say and why I do what I do, and how we'll respond to specific kinds of actions that harm America's interest. Now, I told President Putin my agenda is not against Russia or anyone else. It's for the American people. Fighting COVID-19, rebuilding our economy, reestablishing relationships around the world with our allies and friends, and now we've established a clear basis on how we intend to deal with Russia and the U.S.-Russia relationship. There's much more work ahead. I'm not suggesting that any of this is done. We've gotten a lot of business done on this trip. And before I take your questions, I want to say one last thing. Folks, look, this is about how we move from here. I listened to, again, a significant portion of what President Putin's press conference was. And as he pointed out, this is about practical, straightforward, no-nonsense decisions that we have to make or not make. We'll find out within the next 6 months to a year whether or not we actually have a strategic dialogue that matters. We'll find out whether we work to deal with everything from release of people in Russian prisons or not. We'll find out whether we have a cybersecurity arrangement that begins to bring some order. Because look, the countries that most are likely to be damaged, failure to do that, are the major countries. For example, when I talked about the pipeline that cyber hit for $5 million, that ransomware hit in the United States, I looked at him and I said, well, how would you feel if ransomware took on the pipelines from your oil fields? He said it would matter. This is not about just our self-interest. It's about a mutual self-interest.
So yeah, apparently they met. The meeting went decently well. There was a somewhat mutual understanding between the countries, and some criticisms of Biden are saying that he's not being strong-armed enough with Russia. Of course, I don't think we want to start another war. That would not be very good for anybody. But the problem is from what I understand, that Putin is really hard to deal with. Like when you mention a specific attack, he will say something like, well, where's the proof? Where's the proof that it came from Russia? And unless you have concrete proof, literally right there with you as you're saying that, that conversation goes downhill. So you almost kind of like need to be prepared when you're talking with him ahead of time with concrete proof, like in your pocket, because that is what he will do. And he's been known to do that. So He's very difficult to work with, and he's, even if these hacks are coming from rogue Russian groups, just, a group of a couple people in an office somewhere, or in a shack somewhere in Siberia, right? Um, you know, Putin's not exactly bringing them to justice. He's not going and arresting them and saying, all right, we've arrested them, or extraditing them or anything, right? He's basically claiming no responsibility. So we're going to see what happens here as these hacks continue to come in. And from what I understand, all of them have come from Russia, from what the reports I've seen from the FBI, as well as government hacks that happened previously, as well as the election interference. All of that stuff has come from Russia. So let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think we should strong arm Russia, or do you think that this is going to stop, or is this just going to continue to go on until we force them to stop? I don't know. It's a sticky situation and not a fun one. Okay, next on stimulus, they are currently working on the next infrastructure package known as the American Jobs Plan, and the next stimulus package known as the American Families Plan. And the Democrats are working on putting these together to pass, as one package through the reconciliation process. Now, while they're doing this, there's a lot of moving parts going on here. Okay, first of all, we know there's about 15 or 20 different stimulus items that are being negotiated on in the next stimulus package, which could be combined with the next infrastructure package. Okay, we're going to hear directly from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer here in just a moment, so you can hear it directly from the horse's mouth. I mean, he's the leader of the Senate, right? Okay, so first of all, there's about 15 or 20 different stimulus items that they're currently working on. Of course, most people think the biggest one is the forced stimulus check, and even possibly monthly recurring stimulus checks. In fact, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, as well as Senate Budget Chairman Bernie Sanders, are both in favor of, as you can see here, monthly recurring stimulus checks to be included in this next infrastructure package. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is also the co-sponsor, along with Elizabeth Warren and Ron Wyden, for the $200 per month Social Security increase that would increase all Social Security beneficiaries by $200 per month. Again, this is by Chuck Schumer himself, and is one of the things that there possibly could be in this next package, as well as extra Medicare benefits like hearing, dental, vision, and hearing aids for no additional cost would be included in Medicare completely for free. They're also pushing for 2 years of free preschool and 2 years of free community college, which will change the school system here in the United States, that anybody, as long as they make below a certain income threshold, which will likely be the same as the third stimulus check, would be able to go to college completely for free for 2 years. And really, they want to do this for 4 years, but they're kind of going to take what they can get first. And I think they're going to pass it for 2 years with community college, and then look to extend that for up to 4 years, and possibly other types of colleges. And also, along with student loan debt forgiveness and the child tax credit extensions, those are those monthly stimulus checks, or monthly child tax credit checks, whatever you want to call them, that are going to be starting on July 15th, that are $250 per month for children ages 6 through 17, and $300 per month for children under the age of 6. That's only passed for 1 year. They want to extend that till 2025. So let's hear directly from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on them combining these bills, possibly passing it without the Republicans. And whenever you hear him talk about physical infrastructure and human infrastructure relates to basically stimulus programs, stimulus checks, Social Security raises, Medicare raises, free college, Medicare, free, extra Medicare benefits. Whenever you hear human infrastructure, that basically means stimulus programs. So here is Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on the Senate floor.
So, Mr. President, senators are moving forward this week on 2 major legislative initiatives: infrastructure and voting rights. Bipartisan infrastructure talks continue in our Senate committees and among our members. Remember, discussions about infrastructure, both physical and human, are proceeding along 2 tracks. The first track is bipartisan, and I understand there's been some progress. The second track pulls in elements of President Biden's American Jobs and Families Plan, and will be considered by the Senate even if it does not have bipartisan support. Today, we're going to start moving the trains down the second track. I will convene a meeting with all the members of the majority party on the Senate Budget Committee to begin the important work of producing a budget resolution for the Senate to consider. This is something we've planned for quite a while, but we're moving forward today after having individual discussions, which I have had with many members of the Budget Committee. And it's a diverse committee. Senator Sanders is the chair. Senators Warner and Kaine are on it as well. There are many items to discuss, but one subject is not up to debate. I will instruct members to ensure that any budget resolution puts the United States on track to reduce carbon pollution at a scale commensurate with the climate crisis. We need significant reductions in emissions through clean energy, electric vehicles, as well as funding to help manufacturers and farmers be part of the solution in fighting climate change. The American Families Plan, as well, is essential to the forthcoming budget resolution and must be robustly funded. The Senate will also vote on major voting rights legislation before the end of June. Yesterday, the Democratic caucus hosted a group of Democratic lawmakers from Texas who led the dramatic walkout to prevent the Texas Republican legislators from passing one of the most draconian voting laws in our country. It was a powerful meeting. We heard moving testimony from 5 different lawmakers about the vicious, nasty, even bigoted attacks against voting rights in their state. The actions taken were totally partisan, just like those in all the other legislatures. So the idea that this can have some kind of bipartisan solution befuddles me, because every action taken in the legislatures is done just with Republican state senators, Republican assembly members, with no Democratic participation or input. In fact, the Texas legislators told us they were deliberately excluded from certain meetings and conference committee meetings. Speaking for our caucus, we were all taken by the courage of the Texas legislators, their fortitude, and most importantly, by their mission to defend the right of every American to be able to access the ballot, not just in Texas, but across the country.
So yeah, as you can see there's a lot going on almost all the time in Congress. They're dealing with a multitude of issues. These voting rights issues are really going through a lot of the states right now, as a lot of Republican states are trying to pass new voter kind of I don't know if I want to use the word restrictions, but new voter laws that are very controversial right now on kind of how we're going to see the shape of our country go forward with election rules. And of course, it's Democrat versus Republican. When we see these rules, they're on completely opposite sides of these different rules that they're trying to pass in various different states. So, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has triggered or started the reconciliation process yesterday to combine these bills and pass them as one, while there's 2 different bipartisan groups. The group in the Senate has actually grown from 10 senators to 20 senators, and they have a deal set there. Apparently, I think they're still working out fine details, but we don't know if we're going to be able to get the larger majority of the Democrats and the Republicans in with their group. But that group has now grown to 20 people in the Senate, including Senator Joe Manchin. Also, you heard him mention climate there. There's a brand new report that came out from a very large expedition to the Arctic that actually says that global warming may have already passed an irreversible tipping point from the Arctic, which the ice was much less than what was expected over the winter, and that we may have passed an irreversible tipping point to get that ice back. A scientist on this expedition says, quote, "The disappearance of summer sea ice in the Arctic is one of the first landmines in this minefield, one of the tipping points that we set off first when we push global warming too far." And one can essentially ask if we have already stepped on this mine and already set off the beginning of this explosion. This scientist named Rex said the scientists found that the Arctic Ocean ice has retreated faster in the spring of 2020 than since the beginning of any records ever, and the spread of the sea ice in the summer was only half as large as decades ago. The ice was only half as thick as temperatures measured 10 degrees higher than during the Fram expedition undertaken by explorers in the 1890s. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. Some people think that global warming is a hoax. It's not real. I tend to believe the science part of it. So, I mean, when I see dozens of scientists from all over the world, not just from any one particular country that may have an agenda or anything like that, and they're all saying that, yeah, there's half as much ice as there was previously. That does kind of cause some alarm. The question is, will we see any effects in our lifetime more than what we're maybe seeing now? And will they pass this next stimulus package in our lifetime or not? Yeah, trust me, I see your guys' comments. They are working on this. In fact, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer basically has said he's tired of waiting for negotiations. They're still working on negotiations around a bipartisan group. There's two different groups working on that, the Senate group and also the Problem Solvers Caucus group. Whether or not the Democrats, who are in control of the Senate, the House, and the presidency, along with President Biden, come on board or try to pass a larger package with the stimulus package and the infrastructure package combined through the reconciliation process, well, we're probably going to find that out here within the next few days. I also have some major information coming out for you guys in the next few videos. Really good news for Social Security, actually, and some very interesting news from Senator Joe Manchin, the swing vote from the Democrats, where they need him on board to pass any reconciliation bills. There's actually a lot of news going on right now. It's getting kind of crazy in Washington. So make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. Remember, new videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will keep you up to date with anything stimulus related, all these different stimulus programs that are already passed and becoming available now, as well as will be becoming available soon, as well as the fourth stimulus check updates and anything going on with our country that you need to know about. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. My bottom video is about states, cities, and counties passing stimulus checks. And this video is my most recent video about President Biden's Social Security raise. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.